Good morning, everybody. God, we have a lot to talk about today. Everything from Trump threatening war in Afghanistan again to revolution that happened in Nepal, nobody noticed, to $50,000 in bribe money that Homan took in a paper bag, and the DOJ doesn't seem to care. Just one thing after another, after another, after another. There is so much. We've got Israel has a new nuclear neighbor. Yeah, it shit's getting real. Let's do this. Let's dive right in and get after it. Good morning, everybody. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. I really do hope it's better. We have got a lot to talk about today. We're going to start with this Tom Homan story, but before we get there, we're going to jump in the Wayback Machine and go back just a little bit, back to March, to a few things that happened after Trump took office. Sets the tone for what we're looking at. If you're new to the audience, let me explain. I always kind of set a tone for the show, something that the lens through which we're going to look at these issues. And the lens today is through the corruption of the Trump administration. So let's dig right into it. This, my friends, this is Trevor Milton. Trevor Milton was the founder of Nikola. That was Elon Musk's Tesla competitor. He was talking about building big rigs. Hell, I think Nikola may still be in business today. I mean, they were going to make big rigs to compete with Tesla electric big rigs when everybody was talking about the possibility of that. But this guy got into a lot of trouble. Trevor Milton, when he was running Nikola, defrauded his investors. He did. He told people that they were way farther along in their development than they were, that they had technologies that they didn't have. He falsified reports about their ability to produce hydrogen cheaply for their own production facilities. They didn't have any means of production at all. He lied about the number of binding orders that they had. He claimed that he had much more business than he did. He screwed his investors. He did. He screwed his investors. He got caught. He got prosecuted, and Trump pardoned him. This is kind of a big deal because there's been about $2 billion so far worth of restitution that's just gone out the window for people that got screwed through these pardons that Trump keeps handing out. We're just going to talk about two of them today, but there's just a whole basket of these pardons of people that are crooks, dead to rights, caught, that should be paying restitution, that aren't going to. They're just not going to. That's part of being caught doing this, is the federal government makes you pay restitution for what you stole. You got to pay the money back. Not going to happen. We're talking the tally so far of people that are not going to get any of their money back is we're topping $2 billion, folks. And we're not talking institutional investors or things. We're talking about the little guy, the little guy. Milton was all about social media and crowdsourcing his funds that way. A ton of Nikola investors were just folks on the internet that thought that they were going to jump on the next big thing like Tesla, and they were all going to be rich. But yeah, folks, it's just who these people are. It's who they are. It's who the Trump regime is. They are not here for you. They're not here for me. They're not even here for their MAGA base. These are the people that they are here for. Y'all, some of you may recognize this guy. This is Devon Archer. This is Devon Archer. Devon Archer at one point was a really big deal to the Republicans. James Comer touted him as his witness that he just proves that Joe Biden lied about Burisma and Hunter Biden was a crook and yada, 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 all of that. All of this stuff that the Republicans and came out and said that Devon Archer was proving disappeared like a fart in a hurricane. It just did. When the lights started shining on his testimony before Congress, and all of a sudden he could be, charged with perjury. He could be it got real. Yeah, it all just vanished. It did. It all just vanished. Hunter Biden business associate, that be Devon Archer, testifies he has no knowledge of wrongdoing by Joe Biden. But it worked. It worked. To this day, your MAGA drunk ass uncle and all the MAGA out there believe all the allegations Comer made. They stick their fingers in their ears and go, la, 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 la. When you have, independent news sources and everybody just shine the light on this guy and all the shit that all the allegations that Comer were making just evaporated. They're not here for that part. All they want to hear is the allegations. And it worked. It really worked. Agent Cage is on. Here's my contribution. Don't expect anything, but you're friendly. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you being here. But Devon Archer may have seen his accusations in Congress evaporate, but this didn't. Yeah, that guy's a crook. He's a crook. Him and his partners convinced the Ogallala Sioux Nation to issue bonds. This guy was selling that he is the ultimate investor, going to make you tons of money. You raise capital by issuing bonds. We'll take that money and we'll invest it. And you'll just, you'll have more resources for your tribe because you're going to make a lot of money on that. And they took the money and they bought personal shit, including a $10 million Manhattan apartment. Yeah, they screwed him. Now, the important part about that is that the Ogallala Sioux Nation, well, they're still on the hook. They are responsible for the bonds. They're out the money. But Devon Archer getting his pardon, means that Devon Archer isn't. His fines, his convictions, everything go away. Everything goes away. To all to whom these presents shall come, greeting, be it known that this day I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, have granted unto the individual named below a full and unconditional pardon. Yada, yada, yada. And then he goes on to tell Pam Bondi to take care of that for him. That Pam Bondi will be his agent. Well, you know, Pam Bondi wasn't the only person, the only Bondi involved with this. No. Weirdly enough, Devon Archer got his pardon being represented by Brad Bondi, Pam Bondi's brother. Yeah. And if you think that happened just by accident, what a coinkydink, right? You got this guy, he's sitting as a witness for Republicans, putting bullshit out, and you know, literally just their political game, throwing red meat to the base. Somehow Trump's attorney general's brother ends up being his attorney, and they get him a full pardon for everything he does. I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't take much to put this together. And you go back to Trevor Milton cried poor mouth. Oh man, I'm broke. I can't, I'm broke. Like they all do. They all claim that the company's gone south, and they just don't, you know, that they fight paying restitution, and they all cry poor mouth. But Trevor Milton had $1.8 million laying around to dump into Trump's PAC. I mean, it's all right there. I mean, it's just happening in broad daylight, and it's happening again. You people know Tom Homan. You people know Tom Homan. This is just out and out insane. This is just gross to the extreme. Tom Homan, who's the head of ICE, got himself involved in an FBI sting. Now, he wasn't the target of the sting. He was just caught on tape. They were doing the deep state investigation. They wanted to find people who were doing exactly what they were going to bust Tom Homan for. You know, the whole deep state that's, you know, influencing things and this. Well, Tom Homan ends up on a wiretap, and he gets on their radar. So they send a couple agents to go talk to Tom Homan, pretending to be businessmen, specifically interested in border security, and that their companies would like contracts, you know, with the wall and border security. And Tom Homan tells them, I can do that for you for a fee. Paraphrasing here. And they give him a fast food bag with $50,000 in it for that promise to usher their contracts into fruition. This is black and white, folks. This is not heart. Here's the thing. Tom Homan, when he makes this promise, is not in the government. The promise is, I will do it when Trump's back in office, because Trump loves my gross pig-faced ass, and I will have the power to make all your little contract dreams come true. Randy Oliver, old Jared K. is making some money. Yeah. Kushner, yeah. You're seeing, folks, this is not complicated shit, right? And this is stuff, they've got him dead to rights. They have him on wiretaps, getting himself brought into the investigation. They didn't go look for him. They didn't target him. He was on a wiretap where his own words got him investigated. They went, set up a sting. He took the money with a promise of, when I get back in power, I'm going to get you some contracts. Some guy, 17, thank you for being here. Preemptive coincidence tip for the swear jar. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate all you new folks being here. I really do. Take a second to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe so you can get this information all the time. But I'm super glad all you new folks are here. Teresa D, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. But yeah, so Trump gets reelected because, let's face it, we're fucking morons for letting that happen. But he does. He gets reelected. His sycophants take over the FBI and the DOJ. And they get word that Tom Homan, who that Trump wants to appoint as head of ICE, is under current investigation. So what do you think happens? ET, one thing that we really need to do is overturn Citizens United, legislate it away, make it SCOTUS proof, put it on the list to do, and do it soonest. I agree with you, brother. I agree with you 100%. So what do you think happens when the Trump administration takes charge? Well, he appoints this guy over at the DOJ, who just got himself a cushy lifetime judge's job. Republicans rewarded him with a lifetime judge's job. Y'all remember Emil Bovee, right? Yeah, Emil Bovee took one look at this, and the FBI agents told him, hey, look, we got this guy, dead to rights. He took the money. We got him on tape taking the money. We got him on tape saying he's going to do this. Now, all we got to do to put a little bow on this, wrap it up, and prosecute his sorry fat ass is I just got to call him back. Now that he's head of ICE, all I got to do is call him back and say, hey, bud, remember the promise? Follow through. And the second he does it, we got him for bribery. The second he follows through on what he promised to do, that's bribery. We got him. Emil Bovee says, in your investigation, you will not make that phone call. End it now. I want this investigation closed. I want it closed now. And they're like, but boss, we got him. We got him on tape. This is dead to rights. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about this. We got him. End it now. And they did. They did. They did. This is what this administration is. This is how corrupt they are. Heather Emke, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate all the support. This is what they are. This is who they are. They have this guy dead to rights. When the FBI kills an investigation, they don't release information on it typically. This came out as a leak. This is accredited to an anonymous source, and I promise you that the Trump administration is going to go scorched earth trying to force whoever leaked this out into the open, and then they're going to prosecute that person. They're not going to prosecute Tom Homan. They're going to prosecute who leaked this. They're going to prosecute who leaked this. That is who this administration is. That is who they are. So you have to look at everything they do through that lens. And man, we've got a lot of things happening. Very, very, very serious things happen. Let's jump in the Wayback Machine and go back to Trump's first administration. Trump has made no ifs, ands, or buts about the fact that he wants to leave NATO. After he lost, people felt more comfortable talking about it, and people that worked in his administration, actually confirmed, yeah, he talked about it all the time. Get us out of NATO. I want this done. Get us out of NATO. And it was the grown-ups in the room that pushed back and stopped it from happening. Well, there are no grown-ups in the room anymore. There aren't. He learned from the last time around. Can't have those people around. That's why, Pete Keg Breath is over at the DOJ firing anybody that could possibly resist. And that's why they're going through everybody's social media and personal lives to make sure that everybody that runs anything is a Trump sycophant. Dumpster Chicken, thank you for being here. Thank you. You go back to March of this year, Trump got right back on that train. His excuse that he's trying to say is if they don't pay. Well, there are no NATO dues that anybody owes us. He was talking about, if you're talking about what they pay, you're talking about defense spending, and they pretty much were everybody was above the level of spending they needed to be to meet their NATO agreements. That was just a bullshit. Pull it out of his ass. I'm going to go back on the same narrative because I want to leave NATO. I want to destroy NATO because I am a pooty poot sycophant, and that's what I want to do. That's back in March. If you look at the date on this article, it's March 6th. Just jumps right back on the bandwagon. George, appreciate you for always being here. Cape Maryland, I'm baking cookies because I'm so depressed, not even 1 year into his term, and all this crap is getting worse. I hear you, but buck up. We're gonna do this. We're gonna be okay. And stick with me. It's gonna get freaky at the end of the show. It is. It's gonna get. I'm gonna blow your freaking mind at the end of the show. I really am. Stick with me. You're gonna want to stick through this. But yeah, look at that through the lens, New West Bill. Thank you for always being here. Look at that through the lens of all of those partners, that corruption, that overt corruption. And there's something else that we're going to talk about here in a minute that's just, again, openly corrupt. Look at this NATO position through that lens of pure and utter corruption. Then fast forward to the 19th. Just 2 days ago, this happened. We saw the drone stuff that happened in Poland, and kudos to the Dutch pilots that got out there and shot down most of those drones. The NATO pilots that shot down most of those drones. Then this happens. Russia just flies several jets into Estonia. Flies right into their airspace. Estonia tells them to leave. They said, nope. They were there for 12 minutes. Being told to leave. Italy had to scramble F-35 fighters from their base in Estonia before the Russians finally backed down. Russia is pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. They're violating NATO nations' borders. So naturally, the response to that would be to show solidarity with NATO, to show of strength, right? I mean, right? That's what you would do, right? No, the same day that happened, Kegseth told the Baltic states, in which Estonia is one of the Baltic states, we're just not going to have any military assets for you anymore. You're on your own. NATO can do whatever it wants to do, but don't look to us. And folks, I just want you to. This is what happened. We told him, and I'm not talking some bullshit tweet, some bullshit posting from, Trump and his mush brain bullshit, can't keep shit straight nonsense. We're talking about the Pentagon sent word through our ambassadors to these nations. This is done. We have told Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, all of them, you're on your own. It happened to coincide with Russia in, just flying into their airspace, test the waters. But that's what this is. And you know what? What kills me is I tell you this, and invariably these people that have hate Democrats Tourette's will come out and say something ugly. Well, what are the Democrats doing? They're not doing nothing about this. They're doing everything they can absolutely do. This is from Dick Durbin. As Pentagon reportedly moves to cut security aid to the Baltic allies, Durbin speaks on NDAA amendment and urges Trump to continue bipartisan support for Baltic security initiatives. He slipped an amendment in the legislation to not just continue support for Latvia, but to actually increase it. The Democrats are doing what they can do as the minority. But it really is an uphill battle for them because they don't control the media. They've got no control over the narratives. They've got no control at all over the narratives. They don't. The corporate media is a headwind against us. And if you don't believe me, this is what Reuters put out about this issue. Baltic states prepare push to save U.S. security assistance from Pentagon. The headline's not, we're shirking our NATO responsibilities. We're screwing the Baltics. We're, nothing that's the truth. They've got this pie in the sky. Oh, the Baltics, man, they're just going to make this all okay. It's going to be fine. They've got this. They're going to make it all okay. No, it's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. Folks, we are heading to a war in Europe. We are heading to a war in Europe. And our media can't help but take every single headline and write it like that. As though what happened in the first place is okay. And, they just need to talk nice to Trump and it's going to be fine. It's not going to be fine. It's not. Marianne Goose, there's so many impeachables lined up. We have hope. We will retake the House. Oh, I got to tell you, brother. You want just a little something to put that flavor in your mouth. This just happened. This just happened in California. I'm going to pause and take a little turn here for you. One second. I'm going to take a little turn here for you. This just happened in California. So the California legislature just passed this bill, sent it to Newsom, and Newsom signed it. It is a bill that requires, it ends the ICE's ability to go into schools and target schools. And it says all law enforcement must identify themselves, must identify the agency that they work for. They must, and you can't wear masks except for in certain situations. You're talking about SWAT team situations, things like that. It's the only place that you can wear masks where they know that they may be going in and there may be tear gas or something like that. And this is what Gavin Newsom had to say about it.
I'll be signing a bill, the first in the nation, saying enough. To ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You're going to go out and you're going to do enforcement. Provide an ID. Tell us which agency you represent. Provide us basic information that all local law enforcement is required to provide. I'll be signing a bill, the first in the.
So yeah, we are definitely punching it out. We're not, nothing is lost. We're not giving anything up, but this mess is real, and you need to know about the mess so we know what to fight against. Melinda Unknown, the state of California will enforce it. The state of California will enforce it. California law enforcement will enforce it. It is now a crime. And I got to tell you, folks, this is not, I just want to keep on this theme. I want to keep talking about just the corruption. This is Lindsay Halligan. This is Lindsay Halligan. Nobody really knows exactly what she does for Trump, but she is a Trump advisor. She's a lawyer. She's a lawyer. She is a Trump advisor, and she is the new attorney for the state, federal attorney in the state of Virginia. Well, she's nominated to be. She's nominated. The Republicans will absolutely put her in the job. So yeah, they're going to rubber stamp her. This Republican Congress is useless. That's all they are, is a rubber stamp. Anything Trump wants, Trump gets. They don't say no to Trump. Why is she taking over as U.S. attorney in Virginia? Because the last attorney, who was a Trump appointee, a Republican, quit. He quit. Eric Siebert said, look, you asked me to take a look at Letitia James. I'm telling you, there's no crime there. Nothing prosecutable there. I'm not going to do it. Trump said, do it anyways. Siebert said, no, that is not what I do. That is not what I do. I am 100% an actual prosecutor. This is not politics. This isn't a joke. This is a law. I'm not doing it. And they said, well, if you don't do it, we'll fire you. He said, you can't fire me. I quit. And he went public and he laid it all out there. But you know what? He got confirmation. He did. He got confirmation from the one place that you would have never thought he would get confirmation. And that was from Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, I've told you, he is old. He is dying right in front of us. He has pudding for freaking brains. Donald Trump thought he was texting Pam Bondi, but he didn't. He posted this message on Truth Social. Yeah, this was clearly meant to be a text, because this, again, shout out to Aaron Rupar for calling attention to this. This is worse than Watergate. Imagine if Watergate hadn't been on tapes that we had to go find, but Watergate had actually been on social media in broad daylight. This is what Pudding Brains did. He meant to text this in private, but no, he posted it on Truth Social. It says, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, yeah, he sat there and read freaking social media is what he did. He read social media. Same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia. They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney. No, that was your U.S. attorney, dude. He was an actual U.S. attorney, but he was a Republican in Virginia with a really bad Republican past. A woke rhino who was never going to do his job. Translation, he was just going to do his job, is all he was going to do. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. No. This was your guy. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him. And there is a great case. And many lawyers and legal pundits, Boxwine Barbie, he talked to Boxwine Barbie, and like and likes you a lot. Wait a minute. Sorry. Got sidelined there. No, I fired him, and there's a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President Donald J. Trump. Put Lindsay Halligan in, and she's going to attack my political opponents. In broad daylight, he said it himself. Case closed. If this was any other time in our history, the articles of impeachment would already be drawn up. But this is the infection and disease that Trump has spread into our country. This alone, right there, would be it. There would be Republicans, just like during what happened with Watergate, there would be Republicans going from the Hill to the White House saying, resign or you're going to be impeached. But that's not who the Republican Party is anymore. They're the party of give people pardons because they make donations and they'll say whatever the fuck we want them to say in a committee hearing. Give people pardons because they make donations to our PAC. This is how corrupt and sick and broken and beyond. There is no repairing the Republican Party. There isn't. Canadian policies, credibility, they have none. No, they do not. But wait, there's more. There's more going on in the world. There's more going on in the world. I want you to think about that level of incompetence, that level of stupid that he actually sat there and put on Truth Social his private tweet that absolutely condemns him for his own actions. Just, I want you to think about that level of putting brain, idiocy, and stupidity and pettiness. Some guy 17 says idiots, ego, and corruption. That's all Republicans have ever offered anytime they get power since at least Reagan, especially at the state level. Yeah. Take that level of incompetence. Kirsten 007 says the Republican Party died in 2016 when Trump got his hands on it. I would say that it was well on its way to dying before then, that Trump is more a symptom than the actual disease. But yeah, I understand your sentiment 100%. This is happening. Israel has, for the longest time, been the only nuclear power in the region. They're the only nuclear power in the Middle East. That's been their trump card, 100%. Not anymore. Not anymore. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia just signed a security agreement in which Pakistan extends their nuclear umbrella over Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia will have nuclear armaments on its soil. That is the latest in a region that is just a horrific powder keg. That powder keg just got nuclear weapons packed into it. And Trump is our president. Pudding Brains is our president. Mr. wants to destroy NATO because he's a petty little corrupt shit is our president. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. I want you to think about Netanyahu and Netanyahu attacking Iran. Netanyahu, where this goes. This is, you know, folks, we have serious problems going on in this world. Serious problems going on in this world. And all these Republicans want to talk about is stupid shit, like a third-rate influencer gets shot by one of their own, but they want to somehow blame Democrats because the shooter was dating a femboy. And we're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. That's who these people are. They are corrupt. Their Congress is nothing but a rubber stamp. There are no deep thinkers. They're idiots. And now we have a nuclear confrontation brewing between Saudi Arabia and Israel. On top of everything that's going on in the Baltics, a land war developing in Europe. Folks, when you actually go beyond high school and freshman college level history classes in college, they start getting into details. And you're living through right now the details. You know, when you're in high school, they say, oh, well, you know, Franz Ferdinand got assassinated, and that was just a series of dominoes. This, that, and the other. When you start actually getting into more advanced history, you find out what the dominoes are. And it fills in the narrative. It fills in, you know, the blanks there where you got from a guy getting shot, you know, by Serbian to one of the most horrific wars the world has ever known. You know, trench warfare in Europe, here to here. All of that in between is what you're living through right now. These stories that we're talking about, you're living the history right now. The drones flying into Poland, the Russian planes invading Estonian space, the Americans pulling out of their security agreements, the Europeans taking the Neville Chamberlain, billionaire oligarch's side on this, that, well, you know, if Ukraine's tied up in a war, well, they won't be competing in Europe, because the Ukrainians were always the jewel of the Soviet Union. I mean, technologically, they're sharp people. Agriculturally, they are producers, man. And you've got really wealthy people in Europe that are very content to have Ukraine tied up in a war for as long as possible, that are not big picture people. They're not seeing one domino after another being stood up. They can't sit here and say, you know, I remember when I was in college, this sounds a lot like the events that were, you know, going on in different regions that kept causing this thing to just trip on and trip on and trip on. They're not big picture people, folks. They're just not. Jordan, Iran can also get nuclear weapons from Russia and China if they need to. Yeah, this is the world is getting way more dangerous. And we have an imbecile, an absolute imbecile running the show. And the people around him are as corrupt as you can possibly imagine. I mean, it is really just gross. We've got two more major stories for you that I want to talk about it. But before we do, we need to talk about Bagram Air Base. Donald Trump has threatened to attack Bagram Air Base, or attack Afghanistan again over Bagram Air Base. Pardon me. If Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram Air Base back to those that built it, the United States of America, bad things are going to happen. President Donald J. Trump. Let's just ignore the fact that the president of the United States just humiliated us again on the world stage. Because if Afghanistan gave Bagram Air Base back to those that built it, they would give it to Russia. I love you people so much. I swear to God, I love you people so much. You are wonderful people. Catherine here says, didn't Russia build it? Yeah, people kind of caught that when he said it. No, we didn't build Bagram. We didn't. We did a lot of fancy upgrades when we got there, so the defense contractors could get that money, that sweet, sweet money. But no, we didn't build Bagram. The Soviets did. So let's set that aside, that humiliation aside for just a minute. He's talking about another war in Afghanistan. And I just want to recount the fact that we spent 20 years, untold amounts of human, just blood that can't be total. It just can't. The damage that came out of that conflict is immeasurable in people's lives. Then that's before you talk about the loss of treasure. For that country to end up exactly like it was when we left it, or when we got there. We left it how we found it. And on top of that, we left it because Trump signed arguably the worst deal ever. No country, the British got a better deal when they left India. I mean, this was just, he excluded the Afghan government that we had set up, didn't include them in these talks, released 5,000 combatants and terrorists before we left, drew down troops with no coordination with the Afghan army that we set up, just left them out swinging in the freaking wind, and then agreed to a withdrawal timeline that was ridiculous. It was unmeetable. He set this thing on fire on purpose because he lost the damn election and he wanted to leave Joe Biden with a crisis. And it worked, man. Every right-winger out there believes that Joe Biden signed that horrific fucking deal, and he didn't. Joe Biden did just the opposite. He bought us. He went back to the Taliban. They said, get out by the deadline or it's war. And Joe Biden said, okay, war, because we can't do it. I will turn the ships around. I will turn the planes around, and we will do this for another fucking 20 years. Test me. And the Taliban said, well, you can have a few more months. You can have a few more months. And Joe Biden said, thank you. And you remember what Fox News did in that situation. I mean, they just totally pretended this was all of Joe Biden's creation. And it was a clusterfuck. It was. And on top of it, on top of a clusterfuck of a situation to get out of Afghanistan that Trump created, he turned terrorists loose. 5,000 enemy combatants and terrorists. He just cut them the fuck loose, and one of them attacked us at Bagram. And the dumbest of the dumb among us still say, oh, that was Joe Biden's fault. Remember last show where we talked about the 3 different classes and just the completely clueless ones at the bottom? Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, this is the level of stupidity and insanity we're really living in. Sazil Kazemi, Trump just loves to try to pick a fight no matter how idiotic he sounds, regardless of the consequences. Another war in Afghanistan, effing bloodbath. No, we will not do this again. No, we will not do this again. We are not going to go back into another situation, another war where we have no objective, no. Just release the fucking Epstein files already. That's what this is all about. Just release the damn Epstein file. I mean, and it's not just foreign policy. You've got things like this that are just happening across the country. It is such a storm of bad economic news. You can't keep track of it all. How many of y'all knew this happened? You are plugged in people. This is from the middle of last month. This is August 17th. You are some of the most well-informed people I know. How many of y'all know that Marvel has packed its shit and left Georgia for Germany? Sherry Garnizo. What prevented Biden from releasing the Epstein files? Who were they protecting? This entire nightmare administration is a result of that inaction. The fuck it is. The fuck it is. I have said this so many times. You must be new, and I no smoke towards you. I don't know if that's a sincere question or not, but I have covered this so many times. Ghislaine Maxwell was still fighting her appeal up to the end of the Biden administration, and you cannot release investigative material when somebody is still appealing their case. You can't do it. You would have just let Ghislaine Maxwell file a motion for dismissal and walk the fuck away if they had done that. You cannot run a parallel case in the press outside of a case that is still being prosecuted in court. Not in an ethical administration, you can't. I mean, I don't know how many times I've got to say that, but the Ghislaine Maxwell appeal was still going on at the end of the Biden administration. This Tourette's to try to find some reason to blame a Democrat has got to stop. The 11th commandment, people. Somebody in the chat explain the 11th commandment. But yeah, Marvel's just picked up to, and why? Why did they pick up and leave? Because they can do math. They can do math. See, the employees that work, that do this type of work are technically skilled, which means their employers have to give them benefits and perks and the cost in Georgia, of all places, as dirt cheap as it is to live in Georgia, is higher than the costs of them doing business in Germany. It is. The number one thing they cited, healthcare. Healthcare. They said, we can move. The German government is more than willing to allow us to move all of our key employees to Germany, give them work visas, let them move there, and give them the benefits of living in Germany. So that we have them living in Germany, we pay those super high-end wages in Germany, and it goes into the German economy. Smart. Georgia, it's astronomically expensive. Now, if you can treat people like slave labor, like much of Georgia and the South does, and not pay them shit, you're talking about unskilled labor, Walmart, you can pay them so little that they have to be on welfare. But these are not those people. These people have skills. And it's really freaking expensive for a company like Marvel. Especially when you've got the president of the United States threatening to charge $100,000 per visa. Yeah, that's really happening. And yes, the jobs they are leaving. Just like the Hyundai plant that the dumbass called ICE on. Thought it would be great. Gotta be going to get after them illegals. And now you just lost billions of dollars in investment. Christy Light, that comment shows how Republicans can get away with their bogus accusations and the media doesn't boldly correct the record. Yes. It looks like Disney lost $4 billion in canceled subscriptions. Good. Good. I believe in capitalism. Don't you? Are we not capitalists here? I mean, we're a global audience. Much of our audience is in Northern Europe. We have several people from Northern Europe here, from the Netherlands to Denmark to Norway to Sweden. We have several people there. They are capitalists and they're also socialists. So here, are we not capitalists? Of course we are. It's a good thing. Disney did a thing and the market reacted. Yay, capitalism. And if you don't know what she's talking about over the firing of the suspending of Jimmy Kimmel, pardon me. And now they're trying to put the shit back in the horse, by the way. They're in negotiations with Jimmy Kimmel. They're really trying to put the shit back in the horse. We're going to keep watching that. You're going to see Disney take some steps here. Reality's just hitting them in the face. They can't keep doing this Trump shit. We will close our wallets. Lena P., time to shut down the government. What do you think? I think it's time to elect Democrats. That's what I think. We fucked up. We did. Now, you want to change the Democratic Party? Good. Good. I am the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats. The Ride or Die Democrats is a simple mantra. There's no sign up, no official organization. It is simply adhering to an ideal. You fight for the guy you think, or a guy or gal you think should represent us. And you do it all the way through the primaries. And you fight your ass off. I fight for the person I think should represent us. And whoever wins, if your person wins, I walk into that booth as a Democrat and I pull the lever for that Democrat. That's what being a ride or die Democrat is all about. So you want to change the Democratic Party? Great. Do it. Do it. But I got an idea. Let's hold our criticisms and attacks and, vote killing behavior until after the Democrats are back in power. Let's put the Democrats back in power, and then we'll just kick out whoever the hell you want to kick out. We'll primary whoever you want to primary. But let's put the Democrats back in power. George Allen, please remember all the vets from Afghanistan. Yeah, there's just, Brian Kilmeade on Fox said we should just euthanize them because a lot of them are, homeless because they're still dealing with the fallout from that war. But, Brian Kilmeade can sit there on Fox News and say, euthanize our homeless veterans. Doesn't even get fired. Nothing. I don't even think he took a cut in pay. Hell, he may have got a raise. This is who they are, people. This is who they are. And look, you've had the right-wingers all up in their fields the last little bit. While that was going on, did you know a revolution happened? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, a revolution happened in a country that's pretty damn popular. Can anybody guess what mountain we're looking at? If one of y'all get that just by looking at that, I swear to God. Yep, that's Mount Everest. That's Mount Everest. Let's go to the map. This is Mount Everest. One second. There you go. Go to the map. Mount Everest is the red dot there. Mount Everest is in Nepal. Actually, it straddles the border of Nepal and China. There's a really kind of a cool thing. You can stand on the summit of Mount Everest. It's literally bifurcated by the border of China and Nepal. You can stand on the summit of Mount Everest and do this. You can go Nepal. Now I'm in China. Nepal. Now I'm in China. Nepal. Now I'm in China. People don't, most folks don't know where things are. They just don't. They've heard of them, but they don't know where they are. This is where Nepal is, to give you an idea. All right. This is India. A lot of people are familiar with India. Pakistan, we were just talking about Pakistan. There's a security agreement with Saudi Arabia here to the west. This is China. This is Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam. And over here you have Korea, the Korean Peninsula. So you get the idea of the region we're talking about. This is Nepal. Nepal just had a revolution. They did. They did. Started in Kathmandu. By the way, if you want to climb Everest, you've got to go to Kathmandu. Much easier than try to climb Everest through China. There's a whole industry set up. You fly into Kathmandu, then you take a bus down to the Everest base station. Go east to the Everest base station. But this is Sharma Ali. This is Sharma Ali. He's got that vagina neck thing that Trump has. He was trying to do that. I'm going to rule for everything. And there was a lot of corruption in his government. And you know how we were just talking about like the dominoes? And you're living through the dominoes of a war in Europe? Well, there were dominoes in this country too. Sharma Ali was corrupt. And there was just one thing after another, after another, after another. What do you think the straw that broke the camel's back was? Now, what do you think was what did it in Nepal? What triggered the revolution in Nepal? This is actually probably going to crack you up. This is going to crack you up. Laura, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you supporting the show. Yeah, they threw Oli out. He is gone. He is gone. He is gone. No, it wasn't cutting tourism. Good guess, though. Good guess. Good guess. Close. They had internet. But they were cracking down on it. And there it is. I knew somebody would know. I would know. Where'd you go? Where'd the comment go? Where'd the comment go? It was a ban on social media. I can't find your comment, so I was going to give you credit. I'm sorry. But it was a ban on social media. They banned all the biggies. They blocked 26 social media sites, including WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, just all the biggies. They just banned them all because there was too much talk about all the corruption and whatnot. That was the straw. I mean, there was all of these events, all of this corruption, and they finally just did the one thing that they never thought, because he's an old dude. He doesn't use social media. That's what I kind of get the feeling about this Jimmy Kimmel thing. This might be a catalyst that sets things on fire. You never know what it's going to be. But yeah, Oli said, no more social media for you. And Gen Z said, oh, really? Oh, really? You want me to live in this country with all of the corruption and the conditions the way they are, and you're not going to let me doom scroll? Screw you, buddy. And they lost their shit. They did. They shut that country down. They went off. This is literally the Gen Z revolution. They shut that entire country down. They did. And they went and did the coolest thing you could imagine. They said, okay, Oli's out. We gotta have a new leader. And all the old timers are like, cool, we'll set up elections. And they said, nope, we're not doing that. We're not doing that your way. And they chose their next leader on Discord. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. They they held kind of like a caucus on Discord, and everybody agreed that Sushila Karki, the first female prime minister of Nepal, wasn't corrupt. She was a good person. We're going with her, man. And they argued it out. I'm not even kidding. This is true. You can fact check me on this. This is fucking amazing. I'm going to have to go get me some coffee here in a second. We got a whole nother story to do, and I'm out of coffee. But yeah, they got together on Discord and chose their next leader. I'm like, yeah, yes. You get these people that bitch about youngins all the time, that complain about that young people just don't do enough. And this is Sushila Karki. Pardon me. Tongue-tied. Sushila Karki. She's in her 70s. She's a septuagenarian, and she is the interim leader. She's formed her government now. She's the interim leader. They're going to hold elections, like elections, not just a Discord thing. So they're going to do elections so that they can add more. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm a little tongue-tied. More legitimacy to the government. But she has formed up a cabinet already. She's gone forward. Narendra Modi. There are very close ties between India and Nepal. Narendra Modi has said, "Hey, good to see you. Totally accept you. Congratulations on being the new prime minister. We're going to help you move forward any way we can." So, which is a great thing, because everybody was holding their breath. India is a massive trading partner with Nepal. Everybody was terrified that Modi was going to back Oli and say, "Oh no, we're gonna put pressure on you to put Oli back in power. This is how we do things." But no, Narendra Modi took a look around the room and said, "Yeah, this will get ugly if we did that. So let's just go ahead and pretend this is a good thing." And hey, glad to see you. Yeah. Oh my God, Brian Schultz, thanks for the resistance. Harvey Linda, we're back in Germany in 1935. There are a lot of parallels. There really are. But yeah, folks, don't sleep on these youngins. Don't sleep on these youngins. I'm telling you, they may not know everything, but why would they? They haven't lived their whole lives yet. I mean, sure, they don't have our experience, but they've got fire and they've got guts. We can help them with the rest. Kate Mary, maybe switch to decaf for today. Hell, why would I do that? I got wonderful coffee that people keep sending me. I am going to bow out of here in just a second and go grab another cup, though. I need my coffee. I do. I want you to read this. This is the last story of the day. I think I can make it through without coffee. This is the last story of the day. I want you to read this. And I want you to read this because I want you to be aware of some of the craziness that is. I warn you. I warned you about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, how they're talking to your kids. There's a lot crazier out there talking to your kids. There really is. This is Andrew Tate. He has a massive, massive social media presence. He makes a boatload of money. This guy used to be a UFC fighter, like that kind of thing. He was never that successful. He didn't make that much money off that. His money is internet grifting, and he talks to young men and boys. And believe me, if you go on Snapchat and see the amount of Andrew Tate bullshit you get freaking showered with, and it will open your eyes to the fact that shit, he is really talking to our kids. He is. And he's not the only one. He's not the focus of this. But yeah, he wrote this: sex is for making children. Any man who has sex with women because it, quote, feels good, unquote, is gay. Oh, my pee-pee feels good. This is great. In fact, if you are 40 with less than 5 children, you're probably gay. All that feel-good pee-pee sex and hardly any genetic legacy? Question mark. Now, I know you're sitting there and you're thinking, what the fuck? Yeah, that's the right response. Now, imagine that's not the only thing he says. That he bombards your grandkids, your grandsons with this kind of stuff. Bombards them with it. Misogyny, gross misogyny. The way they talk about women is insane. It is literally insanity. Okay? Are you feeling me? Are you getting me? And that's one freaking guy. That is one freaking guy. Now, I want you to put a pin in that and pause. Okay? I want to talk to you about xenomalia. Xenomalia for a second. And if any of you know what xenomalia is, I will lose my shit. A lot of people don't know what it is. Xenomalia is someone who is born and their appendages don't feel like their own. They don't. It's the way they formed. I want you to imagine, kind of try to give a good example of what it might be like. Imagine that like you live your entire life and someone has their hand on your shoulder. That's the best description I can give, because these people will feel like their arm isn't their arm. You know, you feel like everything about you is part of you. People that suffer from xenomalia do not. They do not. And I'm going somewhere with this. Stick with me. It is like everything else. There's a spectrum. To some people, it's a nuisance. It's an annoyance. To some people, it is maddening. It is literally maddening. It is insanely just they can't deal with it. They cannot handle it. And they will seek out medical help, usually, and get rejected, usually. Kathy Young, 10K MAGA, going to descend on Phoenix today, dreading the possibilities. Trump and fancy pants. Yeah. Let them bury their third-rate influencer. Who cares? I'm just going to keep track of who goes. Johnny Lott, thank you for being here. Appreciate you, brother. Now, I want you to think about that for a second, okay? There's a spectrum. Some people, it's just an annoying incident. Some people, it's really bad. And people that try to get help for this, what they want is they want that limb removed. They just can't stand it. It's like, this is touching me. It is there. It is giving me input into my brain, and it should not be there. And more often than not, they just get, doctors are unfamiliar with this. A lot of doctors, we're talking about trained doctors, think that you've got a mental problem. You're doing like a kind of like a Munchausen by proxy where you're your own victim. You just want the sympathy of being an amputee. You're just crazy. When we know that's not true. People that really suffer from xenomalia, it is the way their brain has formed. It does not recognize their legs or their arms as being their own. That recognition you have, they don't have it. And they will go to great lengths. They will get desperate. They will lay on train tracks. They will self-amputate. They'll soak in ice baths. Radical ice baths where they put ice in the tub and then fill it with salt so that the temperature will plunge well below zero just to freeze their appendages off. And it's really tragic because, overwhelmingly, it does not give them relief. If they survive, mind you. Many of them die, these desperate attempts. Deborah Brown, that's some Handmaid's Tale shit there. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Tate is a sick one. All right. There's a reason I'm talking about this, okay? There's a reason I'm talking about this. Kathleen Blaze, hope you read us a list of memorial goers so we know too. Read us a list of memorial goers so we know too. I'm going to make them as famous as I can. But no, this is a real thing. And you have real doctors that dismiss it. They do. They just dismiss it. The reason I like to talk about xenomalia before I talk about transgenderism, even though they're unrelated, is the responses to them, even by educated people, can be idiotic. A transgender person is not playing dress up. They're not trying to get attention. In fact, many of them would really, really, really like to blend in. It's not an easy life. Helen P., thank you for being here. Some of them, you will see some of them go on to become drag queens because they're like, screw it. If I got to live through this, I'm going to be proud. But I want you to imagine, if you can, just like we were talking about xenomalia, trying to imagine what that might feel like to have a limb that doesn't belong to you. Now imagine that you are a man. Your brain, if I took that brain out of your head and studied it and handed it to a doctor and said, is this a man or a woman? They'd say, well, it has the characteristics of a man. But I took that brain out of a woman. The body's female, the brain is male. Imagine what that must feel like. Imagine what that must feel like. And how little people understand it. And the reactions to it. And how little help these people get in dealing with it. There's a reason so many transgender people commit suicide. Now, in that example I gave you, it's actually easier. If you're born a man, your brain makes you what you are, not your genitals. If you're born a man in the body of a woman, that's actually easier because as a society, we handle a butch looking female, if they don't go through the entire process to actually become become a man. I showed you pictures of transgender soldiers that fucking buff as hell, man. You would not think for an instant that person started their life with a body of a female. You wouldn't think that at all. They blend right in. They just blend right in for the most part. So you don't really hear. In fact, they seek treatment less for it because it is so much easier to be a tomboy, or it's an easier thing to self-correct. Now, going the other direction, if you're born a man, if you're born a woman in the body of a man, you got a problem. You got a problem. Because it is really, really difficult. It is much easier to make a female body look male than it is to make a male body look female. To provide them a level of comfort. New S bill, it bothers me they're willing to cut parts off. Yeah, I understand. There's a lot of people that just don't understand. You're talking about the xenomalia, or you're talking about transgender people? It's really more difficult for transgender women. It is. It's harder. It's harder. And you get medical professionals. Just like, this is why I use xenomalia as an example. You get medical professionals that lose track of the reality that This determines your sex, not this. And you get people that are just butt-ass ignorant that don't know how to deal with this situation. They think things like, oh, they just want to play dress up, or, oh, they're just gay, or, oh, they're just, no. Gender dysphoria is real. There are human beings born that way every day. They're a woman in a man's body, or they are a man in a woman's body. That's real. That is absolutely real. Now, are you ready for me to piss you off? That ain't what we're talking about. That is not what we're talking about next. I'm telling you. We're going to discuss femboys. And we're going to talk about transmaxing. Transmaxing first. Y'all have heard of the Incel movement, right? Y'all have heard of the Incel movement. Or I wouldn't call it a movement as much as there's now organizations. These, the involuntarily celibate. Michael McAndrews, we need good, intelligent people running our country again. Thanks so much, Paul. Trying not to cry. I'm telling you, we do, brother. We do. We need people that understand complex situations, that tell stupid people, you're too stupid to understand this. Let me handle it. Let's talk about incels. There are a disaffected youth, male youth in our society. They don't know how to relate to women, and they don't know how to get laid. They don't. And they're pissed about it. They were really pissed about it. And anytime you get young, pissed off people that are mad at society, you're going to get people like Andrew Tate talking to them. Yeah. He targets them. You're going to get people like Nick Fuentes that targets them. Let me give you just a taste of something that's going to blow your mind before we go any farther. This is the kind of crazy that they're subjecting your children and your grandkids to. Okay? If you see, you need to be talking to these people. Ask them if they have a Pepe the Frog meme they can show you. If they're part of this Groyper movement. Because the incels are also part of this Groyper movement. They're an alt-right subset. Because angry, disaffected young men are very, very, very vulnerable to influence. They're very vulnerable to influence. And these predators prey on them. Let me give you some idea. Nick Fuentes is like a 27-year-old kid talking about life to 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and pretending he knows about life. Pretending he knows things. And these are the kind of things that he tells them.
What, people calling me gay because I've never had a girlfriend? I think if anything, it makes me less gay. If anything, it makes me not gay. As opposed to less gay. Not that there's any gay, but it makes me not gay. Well, because think about it this way. You know, a gay people do date girls all the time. Really? And when I said on Elijah Schaefer's show, and they said, have you ever been in a romantic relationship? Have you ever had sex with a girl? And I said, no. If you name searched me on Twitter, as I always do, all these gay people are coming out and saying, I've had more girlfriends than Nick. I've had sex with more girls than Nick. So like I said last week, not only is that thinking flawed, but actually it's the reverse. That actually makes me really more heterosexual than anybody. If we're really being honest.
Okay, you get the idea. I'm not going to sit and listen to that fucking crazy shit. He showers young men with this shit. He does. He showers young men with this shit. Say, just like Andrew Tate and his craziness. You've got Nick Fuentes and his craziness, saying the most insane shit to your kids. And some of your kids are pissed. Some of your kids are not handling that they can't get a girlfriend well. They're not handling that our society is what it is. And they get pissed. And when I say they get pissed, I mean they get pissed. This is Cole Carini. And yes, those are injuries all over his face. He blew his hand off. He was making pipe bombs. He got into an incel group, an alt-right incel group, was radicalized, angry because he couldn't get laid. He was making pipe bombs and was going to blow up, quote, hot cheerleaders. One of them went off as he was building them. Now, this is the part that's going to fuck your brain up. Now, that's a pretty simple narrative. Guy that can't get laid gets angry, gets radicalized, does violent shit. Bink, 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 bink. Easy to put those dots together, right? Wait for it. He had a girlfriend for 2 years. He had a girlfriend. The Carini case, however, includes a previously unreported twist. His mother testified in court this summer that her son, in fact, was in an ongoing physical relationship with a steady girlfriend over the past 2 years. At the same time, an FBI agent said he found writings by Carini that explored the possibility of killing both himself and a female named Jamie, that was his girlfriend, which was his girlfriend's name, according to court records. This dude... Now, follow this guy's track. He's an incel, can't get laid. Gets into an incel group, gets radicalized. Somebody, a Nick Fuentes or an Andrew Tate, or gets a hold of him, they radicalize this dude. This dude gets a girlfriend and doesn't leave the community. He's still identifying with that community. And he writes a note that he's going to make bombs to go blow up hot cheerleaders because guys aren't getting laid. I mean, do you see the danger there of once they radicalize these kids? It doesn't matter. Because there's a sentiment, and the more I read into this, there was a repeated sentiment that was echoed. Don't worry if your son's a femboy, and this is something else that people kept emailing me saying that Tyler Robinson's roommate was not transgender, he was a femboy. I thought they were being insulting. No, those are two different things, two completely different things. We're going to get there. Stick with me. But I want you to think about that. This kid, Cole Carini, gets radicalized and never shakes it. But there is sentiment after sentiment after sentiment. It'll be fine. When your boy gets laid, he'll grow out of it. No. Not true. Once these groups get their hooks into them, they have a feeling of belonging. They get radicalized and they stay radicalized. Here's another one. This is Armando Hernandez. Armando Hernandez, he's more traditional story. He doesn't have that twist from like Carini did, where Carini actually found a girlfriend. Hernandez here, just according to his mom, was really unsuccessful with the girls and finally lost his shit. Went and bought an AR-15, loaded up a 30-round magazine, and shot up an Arizona mall. His objective was to shoot couples. He ended up only shooting 3 people, thank God. But his objective was to go. That's why he was at the mall. He just envisioned in his head couples walking hand in hand, doing their shopping. And he was so angry about the fact that he couldn't get in a relationship, was in one of these incel groups, got radicalized online, and he was going to go take it out on the world. These people exist. We just had another one. Tyler Robinson was hooked up with a femboy. He was hooked up with a femboy. He was a groiper. The groipers are preaching this shit. There's a great article here I want you to be aware of. This is from the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, that talks about these incels and the violent incel community. There is a tremendous overlap between the groipers and the shit that I found in this rabbit hole. Oh my God. Oh my God. But this is a good article. It's from the ADL. This isn't there is a lot of anecdotal information. There are a lot of people in the LGBTQ plus community that are screaming and raising alarm bells and trying to tell anybody that will listen, these are cisgender people. A femboy is not a gay person. There is a whole subset of, get this is going to be, twist your brain. There is a subset of the incel community that has decided, and this is where transmaxing comes in, has decided it's easier to live life as a woman and easier to get laid as a woman. But they're not gay. They just hate women a lot and have this delusion in their mind that being a woman is easier. That's called transmaxing. These are not transgender people. That's why I told you, we are not talking about transgender people. Being transgender is a thing. These are people that are engaging in what's called transmaxing. Now, why am I talking about transmaxing? Because transmaxing has nothing to do with Tyler Robinson. It doesn't. It's a thing that's going on within the incel community. They can't get laid, so they're thinking, okay, well, I'm not gay, but at least I can have some sex if I look like a woman, even if it's gay sex, but I'm not gay. I'm not. And life is so much easier. People buy me drinks when I dress pretty. This is real. This is fucking real. You need to talk to your kids. You need to talk to your grandkids. Because these radicals, they're everywhere online. Nick Fuentes and his Groiper movement have clawed in on this. You saw the crazy shit. I'm not gay. That whole diatribe he just went on. There's actually a segment of the Groiper movement that is kind of cultivating femboys. Femboys are straight men, I guess the opposite of a tomboy, that are effeminate. And they're saying, if I have sex with this person, I'm not gay because I'm just practicing. I swear to God, that's really a thing. I'm just practicing is what they're saying. I'm not digging it. I'm not gay. I'm just getting off. So I'm not gay. It doesn't make me gay. I'm just practicing for when I meet a girl, but I really like these men that dress up as women. So you see how fucking confused these right-wingers are. They don't know what a transgender person is, and they're also dealing with this insanity. They think that that is what being transgender is, and it's not. Totally unrelated. Exactly. Pardon me. Sorry. BB Ariolo. Yeah. This is fucking nuts. But the scary part is it's real. Richard, wishing all my fellow Jews on this feed a happy and joyous New Year's Shana Tova. Thank you, Richard. Whew. Guys, we're going to find out with this Tyler Robinson. They're going to try to make this go away. They really are, because this is something they on the right are not prepared to deal with. This is all alt-right. This is all alt-right, because the bigots, the white supremacists, they find these kids easy targets. They're angry, they're disaffected youth. And they get a hold, somebody like Nick Fuentes gets a hold of them and tells them, hey, I don't have sex with girls. I'm not gay. Look at me. I got money because I live in my mother's basement. But they do. There you go. Perfect. They tribe up. And what I learned is that those memes he was carving on those bullets, those messages he was carving on those bullets come from memes from these groups. It really looks like that Tyler Robinson is in a relationship with a femboy, which is common among many of the Groypers. The Groyper movement he was in. They are all alt-right. All of them. They hate Jews. They're bigoted. They're gun nutters. This is not a left-wing ideology, because on the left wing, you can just be gay. On the left wing, you can be transgender. We're fine with that. We understand it. Imagine having any of these proclivities growing up in an ultra-conservative Utah household. They serve this kid up on a plate to these predators. And folks, if you take anything from today's show, please, pretty please, take the fact that you need to talk to your kids. You need to talk to your grandkids. You need to take a look at their internet activity. You need to ask them to show you their Pepe memes. Pepe the Frog. If they have Pepe the Frog shit on their social media, and you need to be prepared to find answers that you don't like. And to keep that kid talking and not shutting down, so that you know the extent of what's going on. Because groups like Turning Point USA, they're in high schools. They're on damn near every college campus in the country. And they're radicalizing. Nick Fuentes, he's got well over 1 million followers. Yeah. This is big. You got Andrew Tate. He's all the fuck over social media. This is all he does, is grift to these people. Young people that don't know anything about life are getting told about life from a 27-year-old kid that lives in his parents' basement who knows fuck all about life. That's what we're up against, folks. That's what we're up against. Well, look, folks, that's what I have for you today. I hope you found it useful. I hope that some of this information was useful to you. We could keep moving on. Folks, we've got to put the Democrats back in power. If you want to change the Democratic Party, I'm fine. That's part of being a ride or die Democrat. That's great. But we cannot submarine ourselves. The 11th commandment, people, the 11th commandment, stick to it. Put the Democrats back in power, and we will shape this party. I'm going to wrap a rope around the Democratic Party and pull as hard left as I possibly can. I am. That's what I do. That's what I do. I need you to do everything we can to make sure the Democrats take power in these midterms so we can return some sanity, some semblance of sanity back to this government. On that note, enjoy some Texas cities at night.